Hello and welcome to the Coaching Podcast, Coaching for Success in Sport and Business. Your host is Emma Doyle, the energy and high performance under pressure coach who is a world leader in unleashing human potential. Buckle up for this high octane session. Let them have it, coach.
G'day coaches, leaders, managers, Coach M here, and we are on the Coaching Podcast. As you know, you're listening to the show. Welcome to Ron Ben Joseph, who is my guest today, and I would say an incredible public speaking coach. I put the word incredible in front of it because he is just a joy. We're going to have a lot of laughs. This is going to be a really fun episode. He's a public speaking coach for therapists, consultants, coaches, and soulful experts. That's a tongue twister already. And we're going to talk about Broadway-trained performance that he does, executive presence, and so much more about finding your authentic voice to be the best version of yourself possible in your zone of genius. Welcome to the show, Ron Ben Joseph.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you, Coach M. Thank you for being here. I adore you. This is like any time to talk to you is like a gift, but also like to be here with you. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah. And even straight away, I want to pick up, I know this is, most of you listen to my podcast on audio, but Ron Ben Joseph just then was so expressive with his hands. And apparently there was some research done around the most watched TED Talks, that the more the body language and the gestures to make a point. So look, let's take a jump right into that space. How important is gestures, hand gestures, when you're speaking?
Yeah, it's such a great question. I think it's important if it's organic, right? So I think I'm a big fan of not forcing anything. So if I have a client who is authentically, conversationally more of an introvert, more relaxed, more chill, then like I would never force them to do that, because it's not conducive and it's not organic. And I think anytime you present yourself, whether it's in a meeting, whether it's in front of a team, whether it's the video, or if you're an entrepreneur and you're presenting in front of B2B or something, I think being as authentic and as organic as possible is the key, because you're the star. You're the one that has to day in and day out present and show up. And to force anything is it's like singing in the wrong key. It's just not going to feel good over time. It's going to hurt your voice.
Thank you for sharing that straight off the cuff. Authenticity as a speaker. Sometimes, and I speak a lot, when I watch myself speak, when I have to look at the video, it's hard to watch sometimes because I was like, I needed to relax a bit more there, or that message didn't land because, in the past as well. By the way, this is probably just a therapy session for me, but
that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. And I've always, in the past, loaded content. And this is still today an area for development, even cutting down from, 45 slides for a 3-hour workshop. I mean, that's too many slides, right? So talk to me about finding that authentic voice in your own style. And the other part of that, how do you, how much is too much?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Okay, I'm so excited. And, flat out, I apologize if I come off like teachery on this, but everything you're talking about is what I live for. So I'm like, okay, here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8. 3 things. There are 3 components to what you're talking about, right? There's how much value is value? How do I authentically show up as myself so that I'm not judging and not going, oh, that moment wasn't real. I don't buy that. That wasn't authentic. And then how much is too much, right? Pushing, forcing, trying to overshare, over deliver, right? And so there's a few things with that. The first thing I will say is what the greatest speech on earth is? What the one speech that gets everyone where they live, and it's you will be so famous if you can do this speech well? I'll tell you, it's very simple. Hi guys, today I'm going to talk to you about how to make $500 million in the next hour. The first way to do that is this. The second way to do that is this. And the third way, which is totally easy for you, you don't have to work hard, is this. Right? Imagine if you could do that speech. No one cares if you're crying or if there's a painful story or if you were too much or too little. You were direct. Like, that is such a simple speech. And I think that's the speech that the majority of people, whether it's $500 million or here's how to have an amazing relationship or here's how to create a really stable, secure life. Here's how to marry a surgeon. Here's how to, whatever it is, right? Like here, if you could deliver something that is so easy and so simple, and that's a big part of what I teach is how to simplify things. So that right there didn't need to be dramatic, or you didn't have to worry about yes and like stuttering. None of that matters. It's delivering brass tacks content that people can really relate to and actually implement into their lives. That's value. That's plenty. That's more than enough. And I think a lot of times we go, well, they're paying us, so we gotta like, man, we gotta pack it in with the history of how we got to this moment in life by starting with the year the year 0 to today, and then we have to tell them 70 ways to do this. No, just I break it down this way. I say, what does your client want, or the audience member? What is the biggest thing they want in life? What is one thing that is majorly standing in their way? Like the biggest thing that's standing in their way, and how do you resolve it? That's it. That's the $500 million speech, right? That's like, how do you explain to them that you understand that they want something, that you understand that there's something standing in the way of them getting it, and simple tools and techniques that anyone in the room could administer to fix that problem. That is what I found is like the foundation of value. If you can tell that story in a way that they can relate to, you're perfect. That's on the content side. On the personal side, I work with people on being the same person backstage as they are on stage. So we've all been through speeches where we've seen the range of the dynamic, the magnetic, and then it's this, and then it's that, and it's like, shut the fuck up. I'm sorry, can I swear on the show? Like, is it?
Absolutely.
Okay, shut the fuck up. Like, that is so not real at this point. It looked cool maybe in the 80s. I don't know. It's not real. To generate that much fake hype, unless it's authentic to you and you're like, you guys, I'm so happy to be here. Oh my God, okay, I love this room. Okay, that's different than when people have that rehearsed cadence of the speaker and no, we're gonna do this. Like, fuck off. Stop it. I'd rather someone get up there and be like, so how many of you have ever I'm just curious. Raise your hand. How many of you have ever wanted to make $500 million? And something in your mind told you couldn't, right? Well, today I'm going to talk, I'd rather that for 1 million people, for 1,000 people. It doesn't matter. For one, or an audience of 20 people, it doesn't matter. That level of authenticity, for sure, you're going to have to play it up a little bit if you're on a bigger stage, but the core of it is the same, which is, how do you talk in general when, I forget, there's a book called like The Weekend Language, I forget what it's called, but there's a book about like being the same person on the weekend that you are at work, and we're obviously different, but it's the same language, the same cadence, the same flow, the same organic conversational tone that you have with your friends, with your coworkers. How do you apply that to the stage? That's where the real you comes out. And that's when people lean in and they want to listen, because you're not forcing anything. You're not pushing anything. You're not contriving anything. You're just showing up with the passion of solving the problem for them and then being authentic. And that's the beauty. And that's what I work with people all day long on, is how to slow it down and just be real. Not being speechy. So yeah, so all that to say, then the clients watch it and they go, oh yeah, that was good, I like it. Because you can't argue it. So even if you forget, if you mess up, I gave a webinar yesterday, I think there's like 100 people on the call, and I messed up a few times. Like I was like, no, sorry, not that. Okay. Like, because it's real, it happens, I moved on, right? If you're authentic and you're genuine and you're really speaking to at least one person in the room that wants what you have, you're not going to look back at the video and go, ew, that wasn't real. Because you're real the whole time. You're in your zone. Long tirade.
So I think I want to just reiterate something you said, because so many times where I've also spoken to coaches and they want to be speakers and they don't start with the problem. I mean, you not only said start with the problem, you also said if you can identify what's standing in their way. And even some of the techniques early on to connect with the audience, simple things like raise your hand. Yeah, I'm curious, how many people in the room have experienced X? And then going on from there, it's like you're actually connecting and you're pulse checking the room to
Yeah.
see, is this actually a problem? Uh, why do people not start with the problem? I mean, I know marketing people do, but coaches, I feel like, are trying to, they've got this awesome program and they want to talk about their program or what
Right.
they do. And they miss that important piece. And I'm definitely speaking from experience, because that's how I used to do my workshops, until I realized if we don't start with the needs of the audience in anything we do, we are completely missing the boat. So I just wanted to reiterate that you said that and just reinforce that point. So how does someone know what the real problems are of the audience?
Yeah, I love that. So, I think historically, I'm about to talk about the history of coaching. Just kidding. Majority of my business is coaches and therapists, and there's a few reasons for that. Going back to your question of why is that? Like, why do they do that? Where they forget about the problem, even though when they're one-on-one, all they're doing is solving for the problem, right? Solving for the solution. And I think historically we've had as coaches we've had to justify our existence, right? Like the past, definitely since COVID, I don't think we have to as much. I think coaching has expanded, and my dad was asking me the other day, he's like, how big is this industry? And I was like, I don't know. And we looked it up, and it was like $10 billion. Personal development is like a $10 billion industry. And my dad's like, "You're good." He was like, "You're okay. You're good industry. I like it." He seal of approval. But he was an entrepreneur, a big entrepreneur in his own right. And so um, we've had to justify historically our existence. So I think a lot of people bring that energy and that fear of rejection as coaches, when they present, when they sell, when they're networking. And I work a lot with coaches on even just elevator pitches where they're at a networking event, and I go and I listen to them, and sometimes we've created even the packaging and how to talk about it. And I go, the best way to sell it is when someone asks you, what do you do? And you say, oh, I'm a coach. But wait, let's go back to what you were talking about, and then getting that person to admit the problem or articulate something that they want that they don't have. And then I was like, and then you're done. I'm like, their credit card is in your pocket, and I mean that in the grossest way possible. I'm kidding. Like, I was like, get the other person, take the pressure off of you, because they're not only are you getting them to talk about themselves, which is what people love to talk about, but you're also exemplifying what you do. They're experiencing it versus show don't tell. Versus you just saying, I created this program and it's me, 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 and you're holding your fingers over your eyes and punching, hoping to hit something. No, no, no. As coaches, we have the experience to create space for someone to shine. And I think that's what we have to do in our sales conversations, in our pitches, in our speeches, is that we don't have to have one-sided conversations like a keynote. We can create the space that we embody when we're in our zone of genius in our coaching. And I go, that's why if you start with something that you're doing naturally in your work, making it about the other person, taking the spotlight off of you, putting it on them, I think most coaches will thrive in that environment. So again, because we've had historically to justify, they've had to amp up and they've had to push and learn the kind of toxic, douchey, salesy thing of like, me, I'm going to tell you the features, the bells and whistles of this pen. Tell me this pen. This pen's amazing. And I'm like, do you write a lot? What kind of stuff do you write? Do you write in every room? Oh, you don't write in every room? Or you do write in every room, but you keep forgetting that you don't have a pen in that room. So I tell you what, let me sell you 5 pens for each room, and then you could have, you could keep writing, right? Like as some of the pen example versus just this pen is awesome. So we don't have to sell this program is awesome. We have to listen and ask questions.
Well, listen and ask questions. I mean, my audience is going, oh my goodness, Emma's on it again, talking about listening and asking questions. So true. This is the reason I run the podcast. It's the reason I do the podcast. All right, let's talk about zone of genius. When people throw this expression around, but I mean, let's just go there. What do you mean by zone of genius?
Yeah, so I'm quoting The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, right? Like the book. So I love that book, changed my world, like my mind at least, like when I talk about zone of genius, it's that unfiltered, unabashed, no heavy lifting. You're just in pure flow. Your light shining, whatever the hippity bippity thing is, right? Like you're just in that flow. Everything's easy. My voice teacher used to call it a quarter less effort. It's a quarter less effort. You're just shining. You're not straining for the note. You're just singing like effortlessly. And I think when coaches, not to sound like a jerk, but I think a lot of people I've met over the years have decided to be coaches, and then a few years into it or a few months into it, they go get a job. I'm talking about real coaches, real therapists, people that are called to do this work, that deal with when when July happens and everyone goes out of town and you're not working, and you're like, okay, let's use this time to learn and study and create modalities and create things that can help people on a bigger level. And then, right, like people that weather the storm of the ups and downs of having a coaching practice. I'm like real coaches, real people that are committed to helping others. When they're in that zone and they're sitting and they see the matrix, like in the movie The Matrix, like they're seeing the numbers and they're like, oh, I see how to help you. Oh, I see how to get you through this hurdle. I see how to get you to perform more effectively or with more impact. When they're in that space and they're lit up, they're just so passionate and it's easy. It's just boom, 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 boom. That's what I term zone of genius, or when they're just in that place where everything's easy and everything is just clicking. Everything around that sucks. Right? Being a coach is hard. Like everything to get to that point is fucking hard. But in that moment, like I have ADD like no tomorrow. When I'm coaching and I see the story, laser beam focus.
Yeah. One thing that is not often shown even on social media, right? You do a keynote and you've got the photo and you awesome interacting with the audience. But what about the preparation that goes into a talk? Yeah. No one ever does like the social media, like before the scenes where you feel like you're going to vomit because you're so nervous, or you looked at the audience and you're thinking, or the guy before you or the girl before you is brilliant, and then they get up and say, oh, I don't know how I'm going to follow that. These types of pre moments. Let's talk about the preparation of from a coach perspective. How do you help your clients with the pre-performance stuff?
Oh my gosh. I totally feel you on the person before me is incredible. I'm in addition to the coaching, I'm a performer, I'm an entertainer, I'm a speaker now, but primarily entertainer, where I do a show that mixes stand-up comedy, improv, crowd work, and music. And singing was always my deepest passion in life, and I was never like for sensory reasons or whatever. I couldn't sing until my early 30s. When I started doing a comedic Neil Diamond impersonation act. It's such a weird thing. And I was in comedy clubs and I'm doing this, where it began, I'm doing this Neil Diamond impression and learning to sing from it. And then I started getting invited to sing as myself, and it advanced. And then eventually now I sing as myself. And I get good feedback on my voice. But recently I started going to music open mics in Denver, where I live. But I never went to the Denver one. I always went to like the suburbs, and like I found, so it was like, it was like great. It was like hobbyists that enjoy, maybe they write songs, and a lot of times they're worlds better guitar players than I am, and they're okay singers, but they're just having fun, right? I go to Denver and like I'm almost 70. I'm 45, but these people, you got like kids from Nashville that like I don't know why they moved to Colorado, but these kids are like sick guitar players and incredible voices. like musically just like, and any one of these could be famous. And and you got like, again, you got like the old man over here with like the super high screechy voice being like, hi, I'm gonna sing some cover songs, like here's a Neil Diamond song. And so it's terrifying. Like it's terrifying to go back or to go up after these people. So the preparation that leads into, like being so prepared and so connected to your instrument and your style and your authentic confidence. And then, to tap into that and then to deliver with certitude and clarity and conviction, like, no, I'm going to take up space. I think there's a few things to that, right? The first is I know so many amazing speech coaches that swear by their model and system of preparation. Repeat, rinse, repeat, practice, 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 drive it until you have it backwards and forwards, memorize. And I have found that is not applicable for every person. There are definitely, and this is on the content side, there are a few people that can do that, and that's great for them. And I've met them, and they're great. I'm not always a good coach for them. My clients are highly intelligent. My clients are highly emotionally intelligent and very connected. And they need to be able to know what they're saying backwards and forwards in a way that is conducive for them to riff and to respond and adapt in the moment. So that's it's like a moving target, right? And so what we do is we get really clear on outlining the base, the foundation. So we'll meet and we'll work in preparation. We'll work on a big, thick, I call it the shawarma or the gyros. Like we'll pack, the speech, the outline with lots of meat and then thin it out. And by, 3 or 4 sessions, we get it to like a few sentences where they can go on stage with a Post-it note that says pen, glass, tripod. I'm saying words. And then that's 45 minutes right there, and they know exactly, and the audience will be in tears by the end of that, right? So figuring out what is the bare minimum that you need to bring with you that really exemplifies the journey that you're taking your audience on, that's how I like to prepare. So that you can riff and you can respond. And sure, like you're gonna have a PowerPoint, and if you have data that you need to describe and statistics, have that all in the PowerPoint, but you go on stage knowing 1, 2, 3. What's the problem? How do we resolve it? And then what does life look like when that problem is resolved? That's all you need to know going on stage in preparation. On the performance side, practicing however that looks for you. So I can't practice a week before if I have a presentation or a show. There's certain things that I might want to maneuver with my mouth, like especially on the joke writing side, like there's a rhythm that I need for certain things. So I recently worked on a new joke and I was like, I have to, there's like a certain like punch to it. And so I'm like, that I had to practice a few times. So what I would do is I would do it with conversations with my clients. Unfortunately for my 9-year-old, I had to do it. It was about this woman that I dated for a bit this year. Like I had to practice it with my 9-year-old. Like she knows her parents are divorced. It's fine, And she helped me out. Actually, it was really cool. So finding ways to introduce it organically in conversation, I find that actually helps a lot further, so that you are practicing being natural. Then getting, I run an open mic for speakers once a month because I don't know any other situations that do that. So I think like the more you can also just riff and practice in front of an audience, no way to do it but to do it, right? Like getting in front of a live audience of 3 friends or do a Zoom call. And I have clients do this all the time where we have a Zoom call and they invite 10 friends and they practice it. That's a phenomenal way to get through the jitters or, remove the cobwebs or do 3 of those. But the key is, again, figure out what is the bare minimum of what it is that you need to have organized in the content side, practice as much as possible in an organic setting, and then try to like have an audience where you practice of friends or colleagues or whatever.
So building on that, as a Broadway-trained performer yourself, you know how to command a stage. What would you say are some of the lessons that you could take from the theatre that translate into this? You talk about executive presence or leadership presence, that a manager or leader listening to this could really add to their own toolkit?
Yeah. So my Broadway training, I studied in a school in New York on Broadway. It's a Broadway theater, and I couldn't believe that I got in. And I got in, and from day one, I was like, "What the fuck am I doing here? They are trying to change me." And I eventually dropped out. So I love so I used the Broadway train thing as a as a conflict. So I was, there I am, Broadway, and it was right next door to where they were loading in Wicked at the time. So Wicked, it was just starting in rehearsal at the theater next door. And so, I was in the scene, I was doing the thing, and I had directed a bunch of people that had, and coached a bunch of people that had gone on to Broadway. So I was living my best life, and I'm in New York, I'm in the Emerald City, I'm in the peak of the theater world. And I'm like seeing backstage how much pressure is being put on actors to deliver in the vision of someone else. So we were told in acting school all day long, because we had a lot of similar teachers with Juilliard. And so it was like teachers that taught at Juilliard also taught at Circle in the Square. And they were like, the Juilliard kids, when you tell them, jump, they don't even have to ask how high. Literally, that was a quote from a teacher. And they would say things like that, like the Juilliard kids will do everything they're asked. They'll bend over backwards. And that level of abuse and control was so not for me. And I remember telling a friend of mine, he was asking, he's like, how's school going? I'm like, they're trying to change me. And this was an actor, and he's like, oh, Ron Joseph, you're so silly. And I was like, no, I'm being serious, man. They're trying to change me. Like, I don't appreciate that. That's what I bring. That's what I found is so many speech coaches, acting coaches, performance coaches, executive presence coaches, they start with breaking you down. They start with going, let's get you, to the bare, like the bare bones or neutral, and then we're going to build you up in the model of perfection and sleekness and like smoothness. And I'm like, no, not in a Brene Brown day and age where it's all about vulnerability and relatability and grainy connectivity, right? Like I go, let's work with what is. Let's leverage what you're doing great. And I think in executive presence, you got to this point because you brought so much goodness and intelligence and success and vision, whatever. And what's going to get you to the next level is maybe not the same thing as what got you here, but we can start with what works. And we can always leverage what works and allow that to be the deciding factor or the driving force into how you're going to show up tomorrow. So I always say, like, we're going to talk today with the voice that you're going to have tomorrow. So with executive presence, I go, let's build on who you really are at your core and your vision and your ideas for how to make this organization better and all that stuff. But let's go from passion. Let's go from love. Let's go from what works, not from bringing you down. So funny enough, the Broadway thing is like, it's all about fitting in the costume, doing it the same way on Tuesday at 8:15 that you're going to do it on Saturday at 2:30. It's like, that's, for me, that was such a heartbreak and such a shock to find out that the whole premise of Broadway is to do it the same over and over and over again. In business, we don't have to. We can be leaders that speak from the soul, speak from your like guts. That's what makes a real leader, I think.
What makes a great storyteller?
Ooh, a clear beginning, middle, and end. A great storyteller, I think, is someone who really relates to the conflict and takes up space and knows exactly the timing of how much tension an audience can handle and when it's time to move to the next idea.
In 1 to a maximum of 3 words, what do you think makes a great coach?
3, listening, asking, and loving.
Explain more about loving.
I mean, oh my God, I'm gonna sound like such an asshole. I hear all the time, and I get why people do it, but especially during like 2021, 2022, there were always like these, like I would hear from clients like, oh my God, I'm so sick of being sold 20K offers, 10K offers where you don't meet with the coach more than a 5-second call in November, and they're offering you these recordings and whatever. Like the detachment that happened, and yet the price tag that was raised really hurt, I think, a lot of quality coaches. And that wasn't coming from a place of love. And like for me, if I connect with a prospective client, it's genuine. If I don't, which like there's times where I'll need the money and I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't. There's not a good fit, you know? And I'll turn people down like no tomorrow. I have no patience for, like, I know when it's not a good fit, right? But when it's a good fit, I will love on you so much. I'll get so excited about your story and about your journey and about your opportunity and possibility. And I think that that's what we as coaches can do that therapists can't, right? Like, unfortunately, for therapists who I think love their people, but we can show the love, we can express the love, and we can let that love be what informs and impacts our people, our clients.
So this episode is going to be released on my birthday week. Now, it is a significant number for me this year. I am doing a lot of self-discovery. And so at the time of this recording, I'm going to be hiking up the west coast of Portugal. So when we release this episode, I will have completed that. So, and again, remember, for pure selfish reasons, sorry to my listeners out there, but I am on this voyage, right? This precipice of not only reflecting on my life, also being present with and grateful for where I am at today, and of course looking into the future. What is it that I want to attract into my world? So I would love some real soul searching questions for me to take onto my journey, and so that also, I guess, coming full circle, helping people again, getting back to this authentic voice, follow your strengths. But have you got some deep reflective questions, not only for me to take on my hike, but also for my audience to help them get to the core of using their voice for their purpose?
Yeah, 100%. And happy birthday, by the way. Like, it's today or no?
Well, this will be released on Tuesday, the 14th, and it's the 18th of October.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, I was like, oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, cool. Okay, very cool. Okay, happy birthday, in advance. You are so likable and you're so smart. And like when I met you, I was like, I have got to know this person more. Like this woman is a powerful, just beacon of hope and goodness and intelligence and solutions. And I want to say, like, as you're going on your journey, just know that the stuff you're putting out there is so helpful and impactful and all the things. So thank you for being you,
Thank you for saying that. I accept that.
Good. Yeah, you're a star. Like, you're a star. Everyone knows it. Everyone in your audience knows it. With regards to questions that people ask, I always say, like, with speeches, or with when I had a client this morning who we were working on joke writing. She wants to add jokes to her speech. I'm like, with any content that you create, I'm like, what is, again, simple. What is the one big idea the one big thing you want your audience to understand? You want them to get, or you want them to really, like, transform or evolve, but I say understand. I want them to really understand that if they do this, then that happens. And then, like, why is that important to you? Why is that the hill you want to die on? Or I would say the hill you want to scream off of. Like, why is that the thing you really care about? I never thought, like, I came up in theater, and for me it was like, I just want to do another production of Jesus Christ Superstar. Like that, right? That was what I thought, but I wasn't fulfilled by it. Now I'm like, I don't care how many therapists or coaches I work with, I will always be there for a mindset shift speech. I have to get more people to know about mindset shift because I was such a curmudgeon. I was such a negative Nelly in my head, So I go, like, what's the thing for you that you really want people to understand? Now with my own speaking, I talk a lot about confidence because my relationship with confidence is we're very close. Not being confident. So I'm like, there's so much funniness there. There's so much excitement for me. It thrills me. What is it for you that's like the biggest thing that you want to solve for? And then why? Like, why do you care about it? Well, because if I don't talk about this, then people won't know, and then the world sucks. Or if I talk about this and people do know, then they can change the world and make more money and make an impact and make things better, right? Why do you care about this thing? And then what happens? So these are three questions. What happens if you don't talk about it? Like what's the impact of not talking about it? If you don't get in front of an audience of 50 or 100 or 1,000 or 5,000, like what do you think could happen? And what that does is that gets people to go, well, I have to talk about it. Because no, when I think about 1,000 people not knowing this information, whoa, no, they need to know it. So that like drives speakers to make more opportunities.
Mm. Well, it's been an enlightening conversation, as it always is, Ron Ben Joseph. I appreciate you. I appreciate the simplicity of three key messages: the problem, what's standing in your way, and how do you resolve it, having a beginning, middle, end. You kept coming back to sets of three. You couldn't answer my Holy Grail question without adding three things: listening, asking, and of course, love. Would you round the episode with a bit of a Neil Diamond? Takes me back to my childhood, driving to Bright in the car, and Neil Diamond was always playing. Would you throw one in, a one-liner for us to land the episode?
Of course, it's so funny. I know they love Neil Diamond in Australia.
Love, as you know, you live there as well, so you're a multicultural guy, and I appreciate all your very unique perspectives. And please, everybody, check out all the show notes for how to reach out to Ron, and he's a delight, and you'll enjoy working with him because he's your partner. He's not going to strip you down. He's going to build you up and work with what you've got in a really authentic way for you to bring out the best in yourself. So on that note, Ron, what have you got?
So what, like I always like to close it out with "Sweet Caroline, good times never seemed so good."
So good, so good, so good.
I have been inclined. Okay, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Okay, we'll stop. Everyone, we appreciate you all, and Ron, as I said, thanks again, mate, and everyone, thanks for listening.
Thank you for having me.
The Coaching Podcast is sponsored by Transition Coach for Athletes, a global coaching, mentoring, and US college sporting scholarship placement service. The service helps athletes navigate the often challenging world of choosing your best college fit while maximizing sports performance. Visit www.transitioncoachforathletes.com.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating review on your podcast listening device. And don't forget to tell a fellow coach about the show. The ball is in your court to take action and enjoy your coaching.